Despite multiple Proposition 2.5 override proposals over the past 6 years, we are still laying off excellent teachers in our public schools, eroding the effectiveness of Sudbury's prime asset. Why is this happening? Our school committees must either curb spending or convince a majority of voters that overriding Proposition 2.5 is warranted. They are failing at both these tasks. They have failed for 3 reasons. First, a failure to acknowledge their policies are the main drivers of the town's structural deficits. Second, failure to reach across the aisle for solutions. And third, a failure to build townwide consensus for overrides. First, they have failed to acknowledge that their policies are the main drivers of the town's structural deficit. At candidate night, incumbent candidates both refer to decreasing state and local aid as the cause of the problem.
The structural deficit, as I understand it, is much broader than Sudbury. This is a problem that starts at the federal level with a cut in federal aid to the state. Therefore, the state has less money to give to the localities. Therefore, the localities are left holding back.
The structural deficit is the result of a nationwide tax policy that doesn't adequately account for students.
While aid has decreased, the school boards are fundamentally responsible for their own destiny in controlling costs through collective bargaining with the teachers' unions, negotiating with the unions to get town employees on reasonable health insurance plans, and working with the FinCom on a sustainable budget. Towns such as Weston and Swampscott have successfully negotiated with their unions to shift all health insurance into the Group Insurance Commission, or GIC plan, saving the town millions of dollars. Both our school committees, however, even knowing they had to negotiate with the town's unions, actually rejected a request by FinCom in the fall for voluntary spending caps, effectively removing significant negotiating leverage over the unions. Unfortunately, we can't judge the effectiveness of the school committee's negotiation with the unions prior to the election, since the results of the collective bargaining are still not known. The second failure point for our current school committees is a failure to reach across the aisle and listen to outside advice. The school board's initial reaction to the BRTF was to ignore it. While much of the focus on the BRTF has been on the school consolidation, the nearly $2.5 million of savings from implementing GIC is something the school committees don't need to take to the State House. Not listening to outside advice is just not limited to budgetary matters. The police chief's list of 13 safety improvements for the high school were either forgotten or ignored by the current school committee.
As to the specific point raised by Mr. Stein, it's not true that the police chiefs had 13 recommendations.
I'm disappointed, Mr. Collins, that you've never seen this letter, because it was addressed to you dated May 7th, and it's from the chief of police. And it's a 3-page letter. I'll be more than happy to give it to you this time.
Finally, our school boards are failing to build town-wide consensus when needed for much-needed overrides by their lack of transparency into their decision-making. On one hand, the school boards attack anonymous websites and call for open communication, but on the other, they give evasive and contradictory answers to questions about taping their own meetings. Listen as a school committee member changes his story from, "I'm a big fan of taping," to, "only if it doesn't impact the committee," all in the span of 3 minutes.
I'm a fan of videotaping our meetings. I think part of it is that we'd like to get into the Board of Selectmen's room down there with the cameras, but that's always being used by other people as well when we wanted to videotape them. But
we'll make town hall available to move to any night.
Ideas, and one of my concerns, I suppose, is that while there would certainly be value to having a camera there so people could be sitting home watching what is going on, to the extent that that impeded the processing of the problem by that committee, that would detract somewhat from what happened.
Not only are meetings not taped, meeting minutes are less than detailed.
There are, is this not correct, complete minutes?
There are minutes of every meeting, yes. I wouldn't say they're complete. It's more of an outline form, but there are minutes, yes.
In addition, the significant number of lawyers on the committees mean every single question is viewed through a legalistic lens, which inhibits dialogues and provides overly nuanced answers. A simple question at candidate night around Metco funding turned into a semantical game about what the meaning of the word tuition is.
I'm not sure what is meant by tuition in that question.
The tuition question makes it difficult for me to answer.
Worse, the answer given for funding was incorrect.
The tuition question makes it difficult for me to answer. I am not sure as I sit here whether the money that comes in from the Metco program completely covers the cost of the program. That being said, it's my understanding that the costs of Metco are largely covered by the money that comes in from that program.
If we're going to break the cycle of overrides and firings, we need a change in the direction for our school committees. We need a school committee that takes accountability for their spending, reaches across the aisle for solutions, and can build townwide consensus for overrides through transparency into their operations. Only then can we get what's best for the kids. Please vote on March 30th. Vote for change and the candidates you think most likely can listen to this message, learn from this message, and get our teachers the support they need to succeed.